Welcome to Anita's Online Academy. I am going to record this video for class 10 science chapter 6 life processes, under which I am going to cover the topic human digestive system. So in my previous video I had told you that human digestive system is in the form of a long canal which is known as alimentary canal. This alimentary canal begins with mouth and ends on anus. In between there are various other organs, like mouth opens into pharynx, pharynx opens into esophagus, esophagus opens into stomach, stomach opens into intestine, and the proximal part means the part where something begins, that is called proximal part, or the part which is nearer to something. So this part is nearer to or closer to stomach, so this will be called the proximal part of intestine, and this will be called distal part of intestine. Okay, so the proximal part of intestine is in the form of a U-turn. Okay, this U-shaped tube or this U-shaped canal is called duodenum. Then duodenum continues into small intestine. Small intestine is a highly coiled tube. This small intestine continues into large intestine. Then large intestine opens into rectum, and rectum opens into anus. Besides that, there are two glands, that is liver and pancreas. And children, whenever you hear the name glands, you should understand that something is secreted by those glands. So these are also glands. These are the structures which secrete some digestive juices, which we will see separately. Now we are going to discuss all these organs one by one in detail. So first of all, mouth. Mouth is surrounded with two lips, and then inside there are teeth. So here these are the teeth, and teeth are embedded in, or they are fixed in, jaw bones. This part where the teeth are fixed, they are called jaws. Okay, so the teeth are fixed in jaw bones, and the pink part in which they seem to be fixed, that is called gum. So teeth are fixed in jawbone with the help of gums. Okay, here these are the gums. Same is in case of lower jaw, upper jaw, lower jaw. In lower jaw also teeth are fixed with the help of gums. So this is a rough diagram to show the teeth. Okay, and also now if I remove these teeth from you so that we can see the tongue also, because tongue is also there inside our mouth. So here I draw tongue also. Here is your tongue. So the teeth, lower teeth, they are covered by this tongue. Teeth and tongue. Now let us discuss about these two main parts inside the buccal cavity, teeth and tongue, in detail. First of all, let's talk about teeth. You know children, there are 32 teeth in our mouth, you all know that. 16 on upper jaw and 16 on lower jaw. We can represent the number of these 32 teeth in the form of a formula which is known as dental formula. So I am writing here dental formula of man. In the same way, dental formula of any animal can be written. So here it is, the dental formula of man. I2 C1 P3 T2 M3. Again I2 C1 P2 M3. Okay. Now children, if you count, means it is not a mathematical calculation. It is just a representation of number of teeth in a particular way. You can count them. These teeth which are written above this line, they are the teeth which are, this is the number of teeth and type of teeth which are present in upper jaw, and below the line also again type of teeth and number of teeth present on lower jaw. So if you see, I means incisors. Okay. C means canines, and P means premolars, and M means molars. I incisors, C canines, P premolars, and M molars. Okay. So this shows the type of teeth and also the number of teeth in half of the jaw. Suppose I am standing here, this is my left side of face. So this half portion, in half portion this is the number of teeth. The same is the number of teeth in other half. So if you count them, 2, 3, 5, 8. That means 8 in half of your jaw. That means in your upper jaw, if we multiply it with 2, then in upper jaw, in half jaw, 8 teeth into 2. That means in the whole upper jaw, there are 16 teeth. And in lower jaw also, there are 8 teeth in half, 8 teeth fixed on half jaw. And if we multiply it with 2, that means 16 jaw are fixed on the complete lower jaw. This way, 16 plus 16, total 8. Got 16 plus 16, total 32. So 2 into 8 upon 2 into 8 equals to 16 upon 16. This 16 upon 16 will not cancel each other. We have to just total them. 16 plus 16 equals to 32, because this is not mathematics. Okay. So here 16 upon 16 means 16 plus 16 equals to 32. Okay. So this is about the teeth which are present in our mouth. But children, these teeth which I have told you that there are 32 teeth, these teeth are called permanent teeth. 32 teeth which we have now, these are called permanent teeth. Okay. But when we were children, at that time we had milk teeth, and number of milk teeth was about 20. Okay. So we had milk teeth at that time. The size of our mouth, or I should say size of our buccal cavity, was also very small. With the course of time, the size of buccal cavity also increases and these milk teeth fall gradually. Okay, in a course of time, these milk teeth fall gradually and they are replaced by permanent we get teeth for twice. We get teeth twice or 2 times. So this type of teeth are known as diphyodont. What type of teeth we have? Diphyodont. That means the teeth we have for 2 times. Earlier we have milk teeth, they fall down, and then we get permanent teeth. Okay. So, and also incisors, canines, premolars and molars, I have told about them. In the center, the 2 teeth which are present in the center, they are called incisors. And two on upper jaw and 2 on lower jaw, 2 central teeth, they are called incisors, which are used to cut something, cut or bite some food items. And in both the side of these teeth, there is one in left and one in right, slightly pointed or sharp teeth are there. These are called canines. Central teeth are incisors, and these teeth, they are called canines. Children, have you ever noticed any difference between the teeth of a lion and the teeth of a rabbit? Yes, there is a difference that these 2 incisors, they are long and strong in case of rabbit, and these canines are strong and long in case of lion. Do you know why? Because incisors are used for cutting something, and the animals which are herbivores, that is, which depend on plant and plant products, these or mainly I should say they depend on vegetables and all that. This type of animals which depend on vegetables or plants, or like they eat their roots or they eat their stem or they eat their leaves, etc. For that, incisors are used the most. That's why incisors are long and strong in case of herbivorous animals like rabbit and rat, etc. In case of lion and cat, because these are carnivorous animals and they need to tear their food. They eat the flesh of other animals and they need to tear the food. For tearing food item, they need canines. Okay. After canines, in both the side, 2 in this side and 2 in that side, there are premolars, and after that they are molars. So these premolars and molars are broad from the top. See, if it is on lower jaw, then we will say they are broad from the top, and if it is on upper jaw, then we will say that they are broad from bottom or from their lower part. If you see a tooth, should draw like this. If you see the tooth, any premolar or molar, then it will appear like this. If it is in lower jaw, then it is its top portion, and if it is in upper jaw, then it is its lower portion. So this is it appears as if it is having 4 walls, and also a flat platform is there. Okay, so premolars and molars have a flat platform and have 4 walls. So whenever we chew something, it goes to back in we should say it goes in both the sides of the buccal cavities. Why does it go to both the sides of buccal cavities? Because there are premolars and molars which are having a flat platform. So when we chew the food, then these 2 rows of premolars and molars, they just grind the food. Grind means just like making it into powder, or in some they just make it in the form of a paste. They chew it very well and grind it, and it converts into simple form. Then it is swollen into the throat. Got it? So I repeat, teeth are of 4 types: incisors, canines, premolars and molars. Incisors are used for cutting and biting, and they are very useful in case of herbivorous animals which eat plants directly, leaves and roots and stems of plants directly. So they have this type of teeth. Then canines, they are slightly pointed, and they are strong and long in case of carnivorous animals because they are useful in tearing the flesh. And premolars and molars have flat surface. Okay, their top is flat and they are a little broad. So when something is eaten and it is taken to both the sides of jaws, these premolars and molars help to grind that food. So this is all about teeth. Also, children, when we have started discussing about teeth, then you must have some queries or curiosity to know about dental caries. What are dental caries, children? When we eat, I have told you that with the help of premolars and molars, we grind the food. Sometimes what happens that we do not take care of our teeth, we do not clean them properly and regularly. So what happens that some food particles remain stuck on these teeth, that is premolars and molars, and as a result bacteria develop over there. They take this food, bacteria develop on organic substances, so they take this food and they secrete some acidic substances on the teeth. Though our tooth is very strong and it is provided with a white covering enamel, and enamel is very strong, it is the hardest biological substance or hardest natural substance, we can say. So in our body, enamel is the hardest substance. Still, when the teeth are not clean and bacteria develop, they secrete some acid which causes damage to this enamel, and as a result on teeth some cavities or holes are formed. Okay, so when we eat again, then what happens? These teeth are actually connected and they are embedded in the gums, and they have blood vessels also inside, and these blood vessels are connected to other blood vessels, and also they are provided with nerves. So nerves are connected to our nervous system. So when we eat food and we have dental caries, then this food can enter inside the tooth. Inside the tooth there is an area where all the blood capillaries and nerves are there, so that is sensitive area. So when that food reaches to that sensitive area, then through nerves the message reaches to brain and we feel a lot of pain. Okay, so this lot of pain is due to formation of cavities or holes. So we should take care of proper cleanliness of our teeth so that we may not have this problem. Also there is another problem related to teeth, that is dental plaque. Whenever teeth are not cleaned properly, then sometimes a yellowish sticky layer of food and bacteria is deposited on our teeth, and this layer is called dental plaque. Okay, so this it causes we can say bad smell in our bad smell in our mouth. It also doesn't look good, and later on it may create many other problems. We may have bleeding of gums also. So these things, to avoid all these things, dental plaque and cavities or dental caries, we should keep our teeth regularly twice a day. Now we come to tongue. Children, this tongue is a muscular organ, muscular and thick structure which is stretched in the bottom of the buccal cavity, from its posterior part, that is from back side, it is fixed into the floor of the buccal cavity. Okay, and its anterior part is stretched inside the buccal cavity. So, because from behind it is fixed, so its back part or its posterior part, this is called posterior part. The part which is at back is called posterior part, and this part is called anterior part. And this may be called as tip. Okay, posterior part, anterior part, and tip of the tongue. So tongue is fixed from posterior part. Its anterior part is free. It is freely movable inside the buccal cavity. So because it is freely movable, so what is its role? That it brings the food between the teeth for chewing. I told you that when we take the food in our buccal cavity, then it has to be taken in both the sides between premolars and molars so that it can be chewed. So this work is done because of movement of the tongue. Tongue moves and it takes the food item to in between premolars and molars, two rows of premolars and molars uh, for its guidance. So it helps in chewing. Secondly, it also helps in our speech. That is, it helps in speaking, and also it is provided with many small papilla. Plural of papilla is papillae. Okay, papillae are somewhat small structure like this. Okay, uh, or these papillae can also be called as taste buds. The name of these papilla, some structure which rises a little from its bottom. So this is the tongue, and from the floor of tongue, some small structure rise up in the form of small outgrowths. You can say these are called papillae, and these papillae are named as taste buds also because these are responsible for making us to know the taste of the food. When food enters our body, when food enters our mouth, we can know the taste of this food because of taste buds. And they are located, taste buds located on various parts of this tongue are responsible for various tastes. Like on anterior part, there are taste buds for sweet taste. Then here in both the sides, there are taste buds for sour taste, khatta, for sour taste, and at the back there are taste buds for bitter taste, that is karwa. So sweet like sugar or any sweets, sour like lemon, orange, etc., and bitter like bitter gourd or some medicines. So they are bitter. So sweet, sour, and bitter tastes can be tested with the help of taste buds located on various parts of the tongue. These taste buds are connected to brain through nerves. So whenever we put something in our mouth, the taste buds take this message to brain, and we come to know, take this message to brain via nerves, with the help of nerves, and we come to know that what is the taste of thing we have eaten. So I hope it is clear. Tongue is a muscular organ, muscular structure stretched on the bottom of the buccal cavity. From posterior part, it is fixed on the floor and on the floor of buccal cavity, and its anterior part is free to move. What is its function? That it helps in chewing the food. Because of its movement, the food is brought between the teeth, and it is provided with taste buds which help us to know about sweet, sour and bitter, etc. various tastes, and also it helps in speech, that is it helps us to speak. So this is all about mouth. One more important thing about mouth and buccal cavity. Children, uh, in mouth some saliva is secreted, and this saliva is secreted by some salivary glands, about which you will discuss in higher classes. But in short, I will tell you that below the eyes, behind the ear, and at various places, these salivary glands are located. And these salivary glands are provided with ducts. Ducts means small tubes. So from those salivary glands, with the help of those small ducts, the saliva is secreted in our mouth. Due to that saliva, always the inner environment of buccal cavity, what we feel that it is always wet. The buccal cavity is always kept wet because of saliva, and in saliva there is also an enzyme called salivary amylase, which helps in digestion of starch. It helps in partial digestion of starch. That means only a little digestion takes place in mouth. Later on, the digestion takes place in other organs. So I hope in detail I have explained you everything about mouth and buccal cavities. Mouth and buccal cavity. Now we come to next portion. Mouth opens into pharynx. Okay. And also I had told you, I should not say mouth, I should say buccal cavity opens into pharynx. And I have already told you that the roof of the buccal cavity is known as palate. And above palate there is nasal passage. So up to some extent, at the top of the buccal cavity, the nasal passage is running, and buccal cavity and nasal passage are separate from each other by the roof, that is palate of buccal cavity. But after crossing the region of palate, these two open into a broad tube called pharynx. Now the question arises that when nasal passage opens into pharynx and buccal cavity also opens into pharynx, then will there not be any problem in swallowing food or in breathing? No, children. There will be no problem, because the mouth, I should say first nasal passage. Nasal passage opens into pharynx. Nasal passage opens into pharynx with an opening known as glottis. Okay. And mouth or buccal cavity, I should say, buccal cavity opens into pharynx with another opening called gullet. So there are two openings, gullet and glottis, with the help of which they open into mouth, open into pharynx. Now nasal passage is opening through glottis. This glottis is provided with the lid. एक ढक्कन है उसके ऊपर, lid. Okay, and it is a muscular lid. Lid made up of muscles. Okay, this muscular lid is called epiglottis. This is called epiglottis. So whenever we swallow the food, this epiglottis covers the glottis, due to which food cannot enter the nasal passage and goes directly into pharynx. So once we swallow, again the epiglottis is removed and we can breathe. So we take a fraction of second to swallow the food. We put our food in buccal cavity, then we chew it. By that time, we chew it and our premolars and molars grind that food. By that time, there is no problem in breathing. Breathing is continued, chewing is continued. Only for a moment, when we swallow the food, at that time, glottis is covered with epiglottis, and the food goes to pharynx directly and not to the nasal passage. Okay, so this way the food does not go to nasal passage. Now let us come to the next part, esophagus. Children, esophagus is a long pipe which runs from pharynx to stomach. Okay, this long pipe, in this long pipe, no digestion takes place, but in its walls some muscles are there. So these walls of esophagus, they have muscles in them. So because of that, they show a particular type of movement. You know children, wherever muscles are there, there will be some movement. Muscles contract and relax, due to which some movement occurs. So in esophagus wall also some muscles are there, due to which some movement occurs. And what is that movement and what happens by that? This movement is known as peristalsis. This movement is known as peristalsis or peristaltic movement. Peristaltic movement. Now what happens by this movement? When food enters the esophagus, it is in the form of a small ball which is called bolus. This is called bolus. When we chew the food in our buccal cavity, at that time it gets mixed with saliva and then it comes in the form of a small ball-like structure which is called bolus, and it is food is swallowed down and then it goes to pharynx and then to esophagus. In esophagus, what happens when this bolus comes to esophagus? The part of esophagus, this see children, these are the walls of esophagus. It is straight. This pipe is straight. These are the walls which have muscles in them. So when it comes, it enters to the anterior part of esophagus. The walls just below this esophagus, they just contract. The walls just contract just below the bolus, and then they are relaxed suddenly. And as they are relaxed, this bolus will slide or slip into the next part. When it will slide into the next part, by the time next bolus will come over there, by the time we will take another bite and we will chew it and it will turn into bolus, and the next bolus will be there. Now this bolus has come here because the wall was relaxed. Now this wall will again contract, and now this portion of wall will also contract, and then they will be relaxed. As these two parts are relaxed, this bolus will slip to the next portion, and here another this will slip to the next portion, and here the new bolus will be there. Now again, because why these bolus shifted? Because of relaxation of this portion and relaxation of this portion. Now again, this portion will contract, this will also contract, this will also contract. As a result, the first bolus has reached here, second has reached here, third has reached here, and now fourth has come. In this way, in the form of bolus, the food keeps coming into esophagus and it keeps sliding down, slipping down because of the contraction and relaxation of muscles of walls of esophagus, and this contraction and relaxation movement is called peristalsis or peristaltic movement. Got it? Now this food in the form of bolus will reach to stomach. Okay? Now we come to stomach. stomach is a sac-like structure or a bag-like structure, and this sac or bag is provided with a lot of muscles in its wall. So we can call it as a muscular bag or muscular sac. Okay. So children, now the food enters the stomach. Stomach is provided with stomach is a muscular bag or sac that is it has many muscles in its wall. Got it? Now one more thing. It has muscular walls that I have already told you. Also, the walls are provided with three types of cells. Okay, walls are provided with three types of cells. Oxyntic, we will take later. First, we will take mucus cells. Mucus cells, oxyntic cells, mucus cells and oxyntic cells, and zymogen cells. Three types of cells are present in the walls of stomach. Mucus cells secrete mucus. Oxyntic cells secrete HCl or hydrochloric acid. It is very dilute hydrochloric acid. Mucus, HCl, and zymogen cells, they secrete enzyme named pepsin. Okay. So mucus, HCl, enzyme, pepsin. Okay. So these three types of substances are secreted by the wall of stomach. Okay, and they have their own roles or functions. What is the function of mucus? Mucus protects the stomach from getting digested. It makes a protective layer over the inner wall of the stomach, and it protects it from getting digested. HCl kills the germs of food, and also it provides acidic environment to the stomach, because this enzyme pepsin can work in acidic environment only. And rest in detail we will discuss about the digestion in stomach in detail under the topic the process of digestion. Now this stomach opens into intestine, and its anterior part, that is anterior part or proximal part of intestine, is called duodenum. It is U-shaped, and two types of glands open into it, liver and pancreas. Liver has gallbladder. Actually liver forms a kind of juice called bile juice, and this bile juice is stored in gallbladder, and this bile juice is secreted in duodenum. Also, this is pancreas. It also secretes a kind of digestive juice. Then this duodenum continues into small intestine. Small intestine also has a muscular wall. Beside that, small intestine has muscular wall, and besides that it is provided with many folds. Like it is the wall of small intestine. It is having various type of muscles in it. Okay. Small intestine, this is a tube. Okay. Now if I take this tube this way, then this will appear like this. Now this inner portion inside the pipe, this is called lumen, and this is called the wall. Okay. So this is the wall of a small intestine, and In this wall, many folds are there. In this wall, many folds are there in both the sides. Okay. These folds are known as villi. Singular is villus and plural is villi, and these villi are provided with rich supply of blood capillaries. These are provided with rich supply of blood capillaries. Many blood capillaries are there in these villi, and also nerves are also present here. Now see children, what is the role of these villi? These villi, they are just folded. So what happens? They increase the surface area of absorption. Whenever food is digested, it is absorbed. We have seen that we have discussed that after the digestion, the food is absorbed. So when it is absorbed, these folds increase. This is absorbed in a small intestine. So these folds increase the surface area for digestion. How? See, so it is a straight. See, this is a paper, and this is the surface of this paper. If I fold it this way, I am folding this paper. Now, by folding, this paper has come into a very small space, but actually it is having this much of large space. Though it has adjusted in a small space, but actually it is having this much of space. The same is here. The intestinal wall is already, the intestine is very long tube, and its inner wall has this type of folds, by which what happens, that a lot of surface area is available as the food digested. In the simplest form, glucose, this glucose enters into these folds. Okay, and a lot of food can be absorbed, and this food which is digested, it enters the blood capillaries, and then it is taken to all the parts of body, that we will discuss separately in assimilation also. Here we are discussing about the structure also. So the basic thing that you should know about the structure of small intestine is that its inner wall, it also has muscular wall like stomach, and on its inner wall some folds are given, and these folds are known as villi. These villi are provided with rich supply of blood capillaries because they are responsible for absorption of food, and also these folds increase the surface area of intestine, which facilitate to absorb a lot of food. Now this small intestine opens into large intestine, and then large intestine, in large intestine no digestion take place. Digestion is completed in intestine only. Large intestine only absorbs the extra water which is present in the food which is left after digestion, or we can say waste product which is left after digestion will pass through this large intestine. While it will be passing through this large intestine, extra water will be absorbed, and a solid substance will be left behind, which will be collected in the rectum. And this solid substance is to be thrown out. So this rectum opens into an opening called anus, and through this anus, the waste product is thrown out in the form of feces. And this anus is provided with a sphincter. Anus is provided with a sphincter, which is a muscular, you can say a muscular wall, or you can say it controls the opening of anus. So because of this sphincter, the feces do not come out spontaneously. They are controlled by the muscles of sphincter. Got it? So anus is provided with a muscular ring, you can say. This muscular ring is called sphincter, which controls the force of the feces which is stored in the rectum. So I hope the structure I have explained you in detail. In my next video, I will explain you process all the steps of nutrition in human beings. What are those steps? Ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and finally egestion. So in my next video, we will discuss the whole process of nutrition under these 5 headings. So till then, bye, take care of your health and watch this video in coming in next video or next to next video. I will send you handwritten notes also in the description box. Okay, bye. Thank you.